How you guys doing? Welcome back to Tuna Tech. This is Jason, and today I want to pose a question. Are small phones back? Okay, so are small phones back? Well, if there's anything, if you heard about the rumors of the iPhone 12 mini and the iPhone 13 mini, they haven't been big sellers, and most Android phones are fairly large. And there hasn't been a lot of movement in the small phone market, but there's one company that's trying to change that, at least for Android, and that is the Asus Zenfone 9. Now, Asus has been around for a while, and their Zenfone series has been around a while. So it's not a 6. No, it could be. You could see that, but it is a 9. So there have been a lot of iterations before this. This is a very exciting phone because for the price, I think this starts around $699, and it's not available in the US yet, but it will be soon. If you go to their website, you can sign up for text messaging, to get an update of when this will be available. But this is their version of the compact phone, just like the Zenfone 8, which was a boring phone if you looked at it, but it was a phenomenal phone for the compact segment. So before we get into unboxing that, we'll just kind of look at the box. It's kind of a matte grayish color. Zenfone, this compact size, big possibilities, and you get the big 9. It has the Zenfone 9 on the front, on the side. You got Asus. Now there's Zenfone 9. And then on the back, we can look at some of your information here. And this is the 8 gig version with 120 gigabytes of RAM. So, and this is going to be, I want to say, blue. Yeah, it's a 1D blue. So this is the global version of the phone, or at least I think it is. And we will dive right in here. So what is this phone? So it was launched in July, the end of July. It's supposed to release sometime in September. We'll see how that goes. It's got a glass front and a polymer back, so it's not a glass back. So right off the bat, there's going to be no wireless charging. It's dual SIM, IP68 dust and water resistant. The screen, here's where it comes in the compact size. Super AMOLED, 120 Hz, HDR10+, 1100 nits max brightness. It's a 5.9 inch screen, and it's 1080 by 2400, so it's that 1080 plus again, but with a smaller screen, the lower resolution doesn't mean as much. It's got Gorilla Glass Victus covering it, and it also, like most phones nowadays, have an always-on display. It comes out of the box with Android 12 running Zen UI. That's their overhauled portion of that. It's got the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, and it's got either 8 gig or 128 gig, 8 gig or 256 gigabytes, or 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage. For me, anything over 120 I usually don't need. With cloud storage, Google One, if you do that, I would suggest subscribing to that because it's a very good program. On the back, you have a 50 megapixel camera with gimbal OIS, which we've seen in a few other phones. I believe Oppo, Vivo have, used those kind of things. It's got a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then it does HDR 8K, 24 frames per second, 4K, 30, 60, 100, 20, all that stuff, HDR. On the front, you got a 12 megapixel camera, and the front camera can do 4K at 30, which is good because of those vloggers out there who want to use it. This is a good compact phone for that. It's got stereo speakers and 3.5 millimeter jack, headphone jack. Blows my mind because Apple came out saying there's no room for a headphone jack. Well, this phone's pretty small, and they still figured out a way to put it in there. It's got all your other standard stuff like Wi-Fi 802.11, ABGN, AC, 6E, dual band, 5.2 Bluetooth. It's got GPS, NFC, no radio, and it's USB Type-C. The fingerprint screen, or the fingerprint sensor, is in the side of the power button. Okay, and it does have a 4,300 milliamp hour battery. It does not have wireless charging, but it does do 30 watt fast charging. Interesting about that is it's a tiny battery. It's a tiny phone, but hopefully with that advanced Snapdragon chip, it'll be a little more efficient and still have the same power. And that's about it with the specs. So if you've seen or heard about this, if you're watching this channel, you've probably seen other channels. This is something that's supposed to be pretty nice. There's some people who really are crazy about it, and there's some people who are not too crazy about it. So either way, let's get it opened here. Now, I've already been in this box a little bit, so I just get too excited with these phones sometimes. Compact size, big possibilities. So what do we have in the box? So in this first box, you have your SIM ejection. You have some paperwork, and here is your bumper case. So does have an embossed 9. It says Asus Zenfone. It's hard plastic. It's a bumper, so there's quite some big openings here, but nice to include it. Again, going back to some of these companies that include these, it's because they're not as popular as your iPhones and Samsung, so there's not a lot of third-party support for these. So it's good they include it, so you don't have to go hunting on Amazon and China and waiting months and months to get them. This is the phone. We're gonna try to get this out, and it just ripped on me, so let me just dump it out here. Put that off to the side, and then underneath here, if I can get it open for you guys. There we go. You got a 30-watt charger included in the box, which is nice, and your USB cable. So again, while some companies are still refusing to put chargers in the box, some companies are bucking that trend and including it. And here's the phone. Alright guys, so this is what you're looking at here. This is the Zenfone 9. You can see a selfie camera right here in the corner. You got your front facing speaker and earpiece at the top. At the bottom is your bottom firing speaker, USB Type-C, microphone, and then your SIM tray, which is kind of interesting. The SIM tray, I just noticed it kind of curves around the side. It's an interesting design aspect. One side is just antenna lines, no buttons. On the top is your headphone jack. Again, interesting little detail where the frame kind of goes around a little bit. Another microphone. And on this side, you've got your fingerprint sensor in the power button. And you've got your volume buttons. Okay, and then, like I said, it's got a little blue accent, so I'm going to assume, I don't know for sure, this guy, don't quote me on this, but I've got the blue version. So maybe if you had the red version, the little highlight would be red as well. So on the back, you've got some little design cues, kind of like what they have on the case. So it kind of mimics that. Sorry about that not being the screen, I was looking at it too much. But you got your design cues here. And then on the back, you can hear that. It's like a textured plastic polymer, like they said. So from what I understand, it's really easy to hold in the hand, doesn't slip out, but I'm sure it's going to show a lot of wear because it seems like it's kind of rough. But again, they include a case, so you shouldn't have any issues with that. You've got your 12 megapixel and 50 megapixel cameras here. One's got the gimbal OIS, and we'll power it on to see if it's got any juice. And it says powered by Android, as you can see there. Got the Asus branding. I'm not gonna get too far into it once it turns on. I just want to make sure it turns on. You guys can see it. It's got a little Snapdragon logo that popped there. I was pretty impressed with the Zenfone 8 last year, so this shouldn't be any exception. It looks like it needs some battery life, but as you can see, it's in a different language, so we'd have to go and change that right away. And there you go. So this has been the quick unboxing and quick first look at the Zenfone 9 from Asus. Next video will be how this is a good phone for day-to-day use. Thanks for watching.